I figure I'm going to do a time lapse for this Let's Play episode of building my new base. So last time, in the second episode, I walked through what the plans are and outlined what I've got so far, but it's kind of boring to just watch somebody placing bricks down, so I'm going to cut in and out of making some progress on this thing. So here we are, first stop on the the little tour. I have obviously dug out all of the foundations down to whatever level they need to be at. And I have placed down 2 layers of the foundation. Now, as I'm looking at the building here and thinking back to my plans, I've got another 9 meters out here for a garden, and then I had planned on having a bunch more meters going out in that direction, at least 6 or 7. So that takes me to about there, that block right there. And as you can see, the actual shoreline kind of cuts in from there. So I'm going to need a lot of sand. Fortunately, I've dug a lot of sand out of the foundations over here, but I suspect I'm going to need a bunch more. So what I'm probably going to do next is dig all the sand out from the foundations over here and probably in here, because I'm going to want this all to be lawn when I get done. And that way I should be able to have enough sand to shift it to the sides to straighten that coastline out, and even this one, because that one does cut in a bit too. And hopefully that proves to be enough sand for me to do this project. If not, then, well, I'll have to go digging some sand somewhere else. But that's what I've got for now. So the garage, the marina will cut in, and the water will fill in here. Mushroom farm over here. Fortunately, it just happens to be all dirt on the floor already, so that's great. And yeah, the other basement rooms, which don't really have a purpose at the moment, all of these guys. So that's it for now, and I'm going to jump to the next cut once I've made some progress. Okay, jump ahead a little ways here. I've got a bunch more work done. So now I've got this nice bridge, which has been raised a level. I've got my little promenade installed. I've finished adding all of the stonework for the canal. And then also I've got some floors filled in, just 2 really. And then wound up with doing the same thing over here. So on this one, I can actually walk downstairs. This is where my little harbor is going to be, or my marina. And then I moved my temporary base just into the middle of the courtyard here for convenience sake. And put in this back wall, which will get a gate in that hole eventually. And then down here, I've finished putting in these gravel steps. This is going to be a vegetable garden. This leads down to the beach, which I have smoothed out the edges of quite a bit. And over here, I've pared back the channel wall just a bit so that everything kind of lines up pretty nicely, and then mirrored that onto the other side and trimmed back the terrain so you've got a nice open approach to get into the channel here. And then this brings you back up to the promenade on the front. You can see I've added another level to the bridge just to keep that gravel consistent. And then here I've been experimenting with chisels and bits a little bit just to get a sense of some of the architectural detail that I might eventually use as I start building out the rest of the house. And this is terracotta dyed light blue, just 1 layer of it submerged into 1 meter's worth of cobblestone. So I think I'll make the building out of just plain cobblestone, so it's easy to get your hands on. And then I'll use chisels and bits to put the 1 layer of whatever texture. I'm not convinced about this light blue terracotta. And then this is just marble from Chisels, the Chisel mod. And then here's the same treatment, just without the terracotta on it. Everything else is pretty much the same down there. Nothing's really new. And then this side is just a mirror of the opposite side, except on this side, I'll have kind of an English knot garden with flowers in the center. And again, kind of cut back the beach and filled in the straight bits and kind of making everything all fit together. Over here, kind of come around so we can see this is obviously not where the beach naturally goes. So I'll have to blend this back into the terrain a little bit in order for things to look nice. And then the same thing here. So we can see I've got my cobblestone as the bottom layer of the wall, which is at the same level as that gravel pitch, and then just dirt. So that obviously needs blending in as well. If you remember back to the original plan, this is where the landing strip is going to go, kind of going across the island in this direction. So I'll need to level things out and figure out what I want to put down for that. Probably should get some sleep here. So I think that's the end of this little snapshot. And the next snapshot will probably have the walls coming up on the building. Okay, another quick snapshot here. So as we can see, I've got pretty much all of the walls set up for the ground floor. And I've also been able to set up the wall on the back and kind of smooth it out, follow the train a little bit, and get in some stairs, so going up and down, and to get the actual floors in on the various rooms on the ground floor. And if we come over here and drop down, we can see I've got a staircase going down to the basement level, which is now all lit in addition to being all carved out. So I think that is the update for this little snapshot. Next time, I suspect I will have gotten around to putting on the floors for the first floor and having extended those walls up a fair bit as well. Okay, next little snapshot. As I mentioned, this time the goal was to get up to the first floor. So now I've done so. We've got all the walls built up. We've got the floors put in for the first floor. If we take a peek in here, I've done the same kind of torches in all the different rooms. I did take the time to use chisels and bits, not chisel bits, the chisel mod, to style some of these doorways and lintels and things. Probably they're still going to get covered up, but it actually makes it a little less disorienting as you're walking around in the partly constructed building if the textures aren't quite so monotonous. So that was just to make things a little easier for me. You can see we've got pretty much the whole building at the same level here. I also took the trouble, because I needed the wood, of clearing out all the trees on the last bit of the peninsula here and then replanting all the acorns to set myself up with a little bit of a oak forest here. So we can now see the rest of the peninsula starting to come into its own. And we've got not a lot of territory, to be honest, left over here. So by the time I've put in the runway, that'll probably take up to about here. And I'll have the rest of this for an orchard of some kind. So that's the next little piece that we've got. Next up, we'll be extending the walls up to the ground, the first floor, and then putting probably a ceiling on that. And then we'll have to start thinking about what the roof is going to look like. So take a break, and I'll be back in just a moment with the next little stage. Okay, next little snapshot here. I've got the walls up on the ground floor and the first floor, and I've started getting the floor or the ceiling or whichever way you want to think about it filled in here. I kind of stopped at this point because I'm not actually convinced that's the right call. I might want to make this a cathedral ceiling. So I'm going to try some of it one way and some of it another way and see which effect I like better. This is just a little bit of cobblestone that I've gone through the chisel mod to give it this nice connected texture. So it looks kind of like some sort of structural support beam. This is, of course, where the roof is going to meet up. So what I've decided to do is to use these guys, this dark gray roof tile. And the recipe for this, got to switch over to survival mode, there we go, is to make these gray rectangle tiles from Macaw Roof Mod. These are made by using a little bit of gray pigment with rectangle tile. The gray pigment itself is just white pigment, black pigment. And these things are obtained from various different things, so pulverized coal, charcoal, etc. And then this is just from bone meal. So shouldn't be too hard to come up with the colors. The tiles, though, each of these rectangular tiles is just clay tile that you've baked, and those are 2 pieces of clay each. So I've got approximately 64 and a little meters down that dimension. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacks of tiles, I believe. Yeah, 4 of these get you 2, so that's 10 stacks of tiles, which means 20 stacks of clay to do just that one side. So make that another 40 to get down here, plus, let's say another 20 or so to get down the ends. So I've got about 100 stacks of clay to find. That's going to keep me busy for a while, I think. But it'll work out in the end, I hope. Anyway, so apart from that, I've decided to continue with adding this little bit of texture here. Works nice. I might even decide to leave that exposed and just use the red terracotta to cover up this cobblestone, so that will wind up looking like it's painted red. And I'll just use chisels and bits to just replace the topmost surface there. I have filled in these staircases with actual stairs. I'm probably going to pull those back towards me by 1 meter, because when we go underneath, it's a little tight on the bottom part of this staircase, and I'd like to be able to have a stair on both sides. So I might leave this one here and then push that one back by 1 meter and give me a little bit more headroom in here. Apart from that, I've been putting up torches as I've been closing in the roofs on things. And that's kind of the next little snapshot. So I think I'm going to close off this video here, because it's going to be a while before I manage to get enough clay to fill in this roof entirely. And I may well have other videos that make more sense to slide in between there as we work on other activities. Just a hint, we've actually just made a pretty interesting change to the mod pack. So the next video probably is going to spend some time talking about that. So that's it for now. Talk to you later.